are the Women's Super League champions.
The most amazing day for the Leeds Rhinos.
Warrington dominating.
Great try for the Robins. Huddersfield Giants take the points home.
He missed it.
It's a poor lad. That is one sensational try.
3 in a row. The Saints, the three-peat is achieved. An 8th grand final win for the Red Bee.
Well, welcome to the last tackle here on the Sportsman Rugby League, joined this week by Kyle Amor of Saints and the most capped Great Britain and England player of all time, Adrian Morley. What a weekend we had at Elland Road. 3 absolutely outstanding games and great performances across the weekend. And Kyle, I'll start with you. Obviously disappointing for your Saints side at the weekend. What went wrong and what's the mood been like since?
Yeah, Lewis, obviously it was disappointing. You know, we wanted to go after that cup. You know, we're the current holders of it, and we wanted to sort of defend that and make sure that we were back in Tottenham. But I just thought we got the start all wrong. I just thought that they perhaps started with a bit more of an intensity, which was very unlike St Helens, you know, and unlike St Helens' performance, But yeah, I think they got the jump on us, and, you know, credit Wigan, every opportunity to come their way, they took it. And, you know, but what I thought was great was the way we got back into the game the second half. We showed our true sort of championship side colours, if you like, by getting back into it. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was a bounce of a ball from perhaps a loose pass from Johnny that ultimately meant Wigan would go through. But, you know, sometimes in them big games, you know, the bounce of the ball is how it goes. You know, we had that ourselves in 2020 in the grand final. If you think back to, you know, that famous moment with Jack Wellsby when he gets the bounce on the ball that day and scores. So, you know, sometimes these things happen, and look, it's very, very disappointing, but one that we've just got to quickly move on from.
Moz, you've got some very, very special memories of the Challenge Cup. What will those Wigan players be feeling like this week?
Oh, they'll be obviously delighted, but I thought it was a great game, a great advert for Rugby League. It was, as Carl said, it was certainly a game of 2 hours. Wigan got the noses in front, but then Saints come back, and it could have gone either way. But they'll be delighted. You know, Wigan traditionally are the Challenge Cup kings. You know, had that fantastic run in the late 80s and early 90s. But they'll be over the moon, and you know, it's normally there's a bit of a gap between the semi and the final, but this year there's only a couple of weeks, so very, very exciting. You know, they get to play at a new venue in Tottenham's ground, so yeah, they'll be over the moon. Particularly the guys from overseas who perhaps aren't used to the Challenge Cup, but it's something very, very special about the Challenge Cup and actually making these finals. So they'll be excited.
Yeah, interesting, Moz. You mentioned the gap between the semi-final and the final, but also another thing that we've had to contend with previously, when the final's been a bit later in the year in August, is that we've seen teams drop off after semi-finals and finals and kind of struggle in that running at the end of the season. I guess, Carl, a positive for St Helens coming into this is that you've now got a clear run at the second half of the season, and you can focus on Super League and what will be an unprecedented, incredible 4 in a row if you were to go all the way this year.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's the goal, to get back to Old Trafford and win 4 in a row. And you mentioned there that, you know, naturally when the competition was in August, there was a bit of a drop off because the gap between 2 big games was perhaps too close. You know, it's so hard to get yourself right up to the very top, win something, and then deal with the sort of mental roller coaster of that. Now, you know, with the final being much earlier, that competition gets put to bed, and everybody's focus and attention goes back onto the league. And you know, there's still an awful lot of rugby to be played before we can even start thinking about playoffs. So that's something that we'll definitely sink our teeth into.
The other semi-final, Huddersfield flew through against Hull KR. Huddersfield were really impressive. I was quite surprised at Hull KR. They didn't really perform in the way that I thought they would. But let's just talk about Ian Watson, because he's somebody you will know quite well. 3 finals in his last 4 years across his time at Salford and Huddersfield. That's quite a CV he's building up.
Yeah, and I'm delighted for Ian. You know, I've got a lot of history with Ian. We played all our amateur stuff together. So, you know, at these clubs that are quite limited in terms of their recruitment and the squads they've got, you know, he got Salford to 2 major finals. He's proved it's not a fluke by taking Huddersfield there, and he really is stamping his authority on that team. And I still think there's a lot of improvement in Huddersfield yet, but really pleased for Ian, really pleased for Chris Hill as well, my old teammate. So they're going to go there confident. Wigan will start as favourites, but the fact that they've made this major final, it's great for the club, great for Ken Davey, a great backer of our sport. So really pleased for Ian, and I can't wait for the final now.
Yeah, Ian Watson, 3 finals in 4 years, and I jumped over the barrier at the weekend and caught a quick word with him straight after that semi-final win.
What's up? Congratulations, you're in the final, but you're probably more pleased with the manner in which you got into the final, aren't you?
Yeah, it was outstanding. I thought everything we spoke about before the game about our processes and the way we go about things is made for this kind of football, and I thought it was outstanding in it today.
And then you came into this club a couple of years ago, a bit of a building process last season, but this must feel like a real achievement given where you were when you took over.
Yeah, it's huge. Like I say, we've got a special group of people, a group of players this year. Everyone involved in the club is on the same page, and this is what you get success on the back of that if everyone buys in, and this year all this group's bought in.
And you've got some senior players in there who've been in these kind of games before, and they were outstanding today, weren't they?
Outstanding, huge. Probably a big special mention to Jermaine. He's not been to a Challenge Cup final before, and I think that was his best performance he's had while I've been here as well, and from what I can remember for a long time for him.
And your third final in 4 years, you're getting some good use of that suit.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to be. We want to be a team that's competing at the top end. This is the first step to us. The big one for us now is to go there and win it.
It was pretty loud pitch side at Ellen Road, so you'll have to excuse me and Watto shouting at each other there, but we've just spoken about the job he's done.
Yeah.
Kyle, Huddersfield looks like a team that will give Wigan a real challenge in that final.
Definitely, I think one thing that Huddersfield do well is, they work through a high completion rate in the game, and they just do the very, very, very basics very, very well indeed. And I think back to when we've played them, sort of this year and last year. They give us a really good game. They went with a set for set mentality and almost tried to do what we do to many other teams in terms of just keeping that high percentage rugby going and just keep it in that set to set battle and try and come out on top of teams. And they pushed us an awful long way. The games we've played, and although we've beat them, they've always been very, very tough games. And I believe that if Huddersfield had to stand a chance in this game against Wigan, because like Moz says, they are favourites, Wigan, but I think that the style and the detail around what Watto does with his players will certainly go a long way to making sure that they get the hands on the trophy.
Hull KR will obviously be disappointed with that defeat and Tony Smith leaving at the end of the season, so no Challenge Cup fairy tale for him at Hull KR. Rovers have confirmed who will be taking over at the end of this season. It's Willie Peters, and I think it caught a few people out, that announcement, Kyle, but St Helens are the perfect example in the last few years of a kind of under-the-radar Australian coach coming in and being very successful. Yeah,
look what the work Justin Holbrook did, and obviously Christian Wolf's done as well, after Justin too. So, that is perhaps a good recipe for success. Maybe other clubs are looking towards that. I know Leeds have obviously, with Rowan Smith, they're going down that road as well. So, but to give him a 3-year deal suggests that what he's brought to the table in his interview or his visions for the club going forward certainly suits and is aligning with the owner. And hopefully he can go over to Hull KR and make it a success, because the club is a huge club and it's on the up. The work that they're doing off the field in terms of the attendances of the crowd, it certainly needs the product on the field to match it.
Moz, a lot of kind of confusion. It was all very sudden when Tony announced that he was calling it a day at the end of the season at Hull KR. But there's no doubt, he's leaving it certainly on the pitch in a better place than it was when he found it. Yeah,
without a doubt. Having worked with Tony for a number of years, I know how good a coach he is, and he's been doing fantastically well with Hull KR. And the performance of the weekend was really, really un-Tony Smith-like. It was disappointing. He actually said in his post-match interview the boys didn't turn up, and that's taking nothing away from Huddersfield. They were great, very professional, but Hull KR were poor, and I just hope his announcement has not had an effect on the players, on the performances, and that has a bit of a knock-on effect, because I thought they were the best team to watch in Super League. They were throwing the ball around and playing the game how it should be played. So he's done great for them, and as I say, I do hope they have a great finish for him and for the club, and they're one of the most positive teams in the Super League.
So much happened at the weekend. We've not even had a chance to talk about the Women's Challenge Cup final yet. We will do. But two other teams booked their place at Tottenham at the weekend. And Lee versus Featherstone in the 1895 Cup final. Kyle, you've been involved in Premier and their coverage of the Championship. What a really exciting kind of heavyweight clash we're going to have as the curtain raiser final on that day.
Yeah, it sure is. You know, these two sides have both spent an awful lot of money getting them to where they are in the Championship, and you know, it's those two sides really who sit at the top of the table, and the rest are all just making up for numbers for jostling for playoff position or avoiding relegation. So, you know, this is certainly a mouth-watering clash between these two. I went to watch, I was part of the coverage for Sheffield against Lee on Sunday, and Lee were very, very clunky with the ball. You know, they didn't really respect it too much, and you know, they managed to get an 18-point win over Sheffield. I think it finished 30 points to 12 or something like that. But you know, on the flip side of it, Featherstone, you know, they beat Barrow 34-6, and I just, when I was watching the highlights of Featherstone and the stuff that I've seen around them, I do believe that they're moving the ball more fluidly rather than you know, Lee. I think that they go into this game as favourite, but you know, Lee will certainly have a large say in that, because one thing I like about Lee is the pack. I think when they're on, they're very much a Super League pack within their own right. So you know, it'd be interesting to see, put it that way.
You had a busy weekend because you were involved in the coverage of that game. You also did the commentary for the Women's Challenge Cup final, and what a great game that turned out to be to kick it all off.
Yeah, super. You know, I think Saints went into that as massive favourites, didn't they? And you know, Leeds needed to play their part in that. And you right from the off, you just got a sense that Leeds were well and truly up for it, and put St Helens into a position that they haven't been in all year, being behind 8-0 down on the scoreboard at half time. So it was interesting to see how they were going to go about handling that. And I thought Saints were terrific. You know, the terrific second half, and you know, special players stepped up. Jodie Cunningham and Isabel Rudge, you know, they played large parts in dragging the side back into the contest and ultimately retaining the trophy.
Yeah, so Saints have retained the first part of their treble crown from last season, and then this weekend the Betfred Women's Super League returns, and we've got something brand new right here on the Sportsman Rugby League. It's going to be a monthly show completely dedicated to the women's game, and it kicks off tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
My name's Christy McAllister and welcome to the first episode of the Women's Rugby League show, a new series where we cover this amazing sport and the inspirational women who play it. We're here today at St Helens for the media launch ahead of the new season of the Women's Super League, where they're going to be in with a chance of winning this, Betfred's new Super League trophy.
So that's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Don't miss it. It's a great show. All the build-up that you'll possibly need to the start of the Betfred Women's Super League season. And our coverage this week does not stop there, because I'm delighted to now be able to confirm that this weekend, live and exclusive right here on the Sportsman Rugby League, Sunday, 2 o'clock, we will be bringing you St Helens versus Wigan, round one of the Betfred Women's Super League. Kyle, you've played in a few of these games, obviously part of the men's setup. Yep. Doesn't really matter who's playing it. Wigan versus Saints is a big, big derby.
Yeah, it's huge. You know, some will say that it's the biggest derby within the game. You know, I certainly do believe that, having played in it. So, you know, where we live in the town of Saints, you know, every time you sort of wander around, you always get the same message right from the first day you land there, and that's whatever you do, make sure you beat Wigan. And I'm sure it's the same message for the girls involved this weekend.
Yeah, 2 o'clock on Sunday. Join us right here on the Sportsman Rugby League for coverage of St Helens versus the Wigan Warriors. We're your new home of Rugby League Online for 2020. Don't miss it. There's plenty more on this channel.
You're watching Sportsman Rugby League. Subscribe for exclusive content.
Yeah, it's all kicking off in the Betfred Women's Super League, and of course we return to action in the men's version of the Betfred Super League. So let's have a run through those fixtures now. Perfect timing really, this one was a dress rehearsal if you like for the final. Huddersfield Giants versus Wigan Warriors.
Yeah, psychologically this is a massive fixture for both teams. The fact that it's Huddersfield's home advantage, they'll be going out there and throwing the everything in the kitchen sink at Wigan Warriors, but the fact that it's 2 weeks before the major final, it's whoever gets this, you could argue, will be favourites going into that final. But I think Ian Watson will be really happy at this fixture, seeing what they're up against in this game, but also the bigger game in a week or two.
And we've got that Challenge Cup narrative, but let's not forget, Carl, it's second versus third as well.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that when we've looked at the squads that have come out, there is a few noticeable absentees, for perhaps that what will play in a fortnight's time. But I even think within that 21, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few more names rested in there. So I don't think personally that they're going to give too much away this week. I think they're going to rotate and perhaps not have the strongest team available going forward in 2 weeks' time. But it'll certainly be an interesting one for sure.
And then St Helens versus Hull FC, Kyle.
Yeah.
I guess the talk in your camp is just about putting the weekend behind you and getting back to winning ways.
Well, look, we have to, because Hull FC they're not bothered that we're out of the cup. They obviously exited the cup before us, and they had to adjust and crack on with their season. They'll have had that weekend off there, so they'll be fresh and ready to come at us and perhaps smelling a bit of vulnerability amongst our group. But it's up to us and our team to show that certainly isn't the case. And that look, whilst we're very, very disappointed last week about going out the cup, that we make sure that we put our foot forward in front of our home fans and get back on the horse. And this is we've got a massive couple of weeks coming up in terms of the fixtures we've got going forward, but we've got to make sure that one bad loss doesn't turn into many more. So we'll be looking forward to bringing them over on Friday night.
Catalans versus Warrington, Moz. Warrington might feel like the Challenge Cup break just came at the wrong time for them, because they were slowly starting to get it together. That said, Catalan's a very difficult place to go. Yeah,
very difficult place to go. And Warrington did have a good Easter period, but then they got a quite heavy defeat off the old enemy. So it's very hit and miss at the minute, more miss than hit, unfortunately, for Warrington. And to go over there and get a result against Catalans, and you mentioned it's a particularly tough place to go over. I can't see Warrington doing it. I champion Warrington, I like to see him do well, but I just think this is a bit of a trip too far, and I'm going for the Catalans victory.
And then another one of your former clubs was in action, two in fact. Salford versus Leeds, the Adrian Morley derby. Salford got the win in this game last time. There's loads to go at in this game. Salford got the win last time around. Rowan Smith, his first game as coach. Zach Hardacre has been cleared to return to training, but I'm not sure if he's involved in the squad. So this should be a really, really interesting game. Yeah,
there's a lot of factors, as you mentioned, and the two previous games with Salford, even though they did get beat against St Helens and Wigan, they were in them games with a shout, and they possibly could have won one or both of them games. So you can take confidence from losses. So it's at home, so I think Salford will be going to the game confident, but the fact that it's the new coach's first game, I think the Leeds boys will be up for it, and they'll want to impress in the new guy. It'll be a close one, but I think Leeds might just sneak it on Sunday.
Carl, you speak about you guys have to draw a line under the weekend. Hull KR really do, because they were pretty poor against Huddersfield at times, and they can't continue that on for the rest of the season. They've got to put that right quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that, you mentioned there about the performance that they put in, the fact that the coach is leaving, them getting to the semi-final, which, in many people's opinion might have been a bit of an overachievement given the start of the year. You just wonder how much that's going to mentally take it out of them, and is the turnaround of a week enough for them to get over it and bounce back, going to a difficult place like Castleford Tigers, who are, slowly but surely and very very quietly getting their season up and running, aren't they? They've had a good Easter period, and I just think on that one, I think Castleford are going to go on and win that. I think Ulkiar could be in for a little period of a bit of misfortune.
And then Toulouse versus Wakefield's a really interesting one, Carl.
Yeah.
Obviously, two teams fighting for their lives a little bit at the bottom of the table, and if Toulouse do win this, it sets up a very interesting game at Magic Weekend in a few months' time where they play each other again, because any opportunity to take points off each other will be huge.
I think Toulouse have to win this game. I think it's a season-defining game already in round 12. That they've got to get over Wakefield here. If they do, it keeps them alive. It keeps their ambition of going to Magic Weekend, and that'll be an almighty game for everybody associated with the game to watch. But I think if they lose, I think it's curtains for them. I think the deficit of points, and you look at Wakefield's for and against. I think it's plus 60 on Toulouse, so you'd imagine that equates to almost another win. I just can't see Toulouse winning 4 more games than Wakefield for the rest of the year. So it's an absolute must that Toulouse win this week.
Moz, we just said about how difficult Catalans is as a place to go. That's the key, isn't it, for Toulouse, if they are going to stay up this season, is to turn their home games into a graveyard as well, because it is difficult going over to France and playing, but even more so, I guess, the other way for Toulouse this year, where they're just not quite at the level that the rest of the teams have been at.
No, that's right, and you mentioned the travel. It is a bit of a burden, sleeping in these strange beds, where you've not got the home comforts, but they do need to make it a fortress. But I agree with Kyle that I think this is a must-win for Toulouse. But they have shown some really, really positive stuff. The games I've watched them in, that they play really well for 10-15 minutes, but it's just about putting it all together for the 18 minutes, so that they have potentially got it in him. But I think they'll be putting everything into this, and I think this is a must-win, definitely.
Well, we're running out of time, so let's do what we do every week at this part of the show. Take a look at the contenders for Try of the Week.
Hello and welcome to Try of the Week. I'm Ross Fides, and here are this week's contenders. Try number 1, it's the 1895 Cup semi-final. Sheffield with a chance here in attack against Lee. Farrell with the pass, but it's intercepted by Chamberlain here, and he's got the legs to go all the way. It's the icing on the cake for Lee in the final few minutes of the game. There he is, Chamberlain's in under the post, and they're through to the Cup final at Tottenham. Try number 2, and it's the Challenge Cup semi-final between Huddersfield and Hull KR. Nice hands here from Huddersfield, and it's out to the right edge to Jermaine McGilvray. Kenny Dowell can't stop him, and he weaves back in field. It's a one-on-one tussle with Ethan Ryan now, but McGilvray gets it down, and what a try, what a finish. It's the Women's Challenge Cup final for try number 3. Saints looking to seal the deal here. Cunningham to Emily Rudge. They've played together since school, so they know each other fairly well. Tara Jones from the play the ball back to Cunningham, who goes it alone and crashes through the Leeds defence and gets it down for the Challenge Cup champions. Try number 4, and back to the men's semi-finals. Wigan dominating this first half. They're on the last tackle here, and it's Liam Farrell with the ball. He spots a hole in the Saints defence. He's right down the middle. Lomax trips, and Farrell dives in under the post for a sensational try. Try number 5, same game, different Liam. Wigan hoping to open the scores early here. Look at this flick from Cade Cuss too. Farrell does well to collect. Jake Bibby powering forward now. Jack Welsby does well to drag him down, but it's out to Liam Marshall. And look at that dive. What a finish in the corner for Liam Marshall, and what a try. And finally, try number 6, back to the 1895 Cup. Featherstone looking to rub salt into the wounds here. Briscoe does well to stay in the field of play. Back inside to Mark Corella, who touches down with ease, and Featherstone are off to the final. 6 tries, but only 1 winner. Head to the R-League app now to vote for your favourite.
Yeah, what a weekend it was. Some brilliant tries there to choose from. Some great rugby league across the games at Ellen Road, and of course those 1895 semi-finals as well. Gents, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. As ever, loads coming up on the Sportsman Rugby League over the next few days. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, the Women's Rugby League show, first episode of a new monthly series. So make sure you tune into that. Get all the build-up to the start of the Betfred Women's Super League. And then Sunday, 2 o'clock, live and exclusive here on the Sportsman Rugby League. It's St Helens versus Wigan in the Betfred Women's Super League. Do not miss that. It's going to be an absolute cracker. We'll be back next week, same time and place, with more from The Last Tackle.